13. Finally being done with Cooper, they figure they have to pay the piper, and have Patricia meet the boss, Zant. She wants to go shopping though. Before meeting a vampire boss, she wants to not dress like someone bought clothes for her. They still worry about taking her home, so they go shopping at a late-night store. She brings all she needs, gets dolled up, in her version, a little bit of makeup for a professional woman, and they take a trip to the meeting place for the introduction. Zook goes over some ground rules. They have discussed the general rules all vampires of their organization need to follow, but there were a few extra things. He adds in.
There is a lot of money in the room where you will be meeting new colleagues. They feel that it makes them important because it does, so give them this respect. They will not talk down to you, but you need to not presume things. The only person you need to discuss anything with is the boss, and I will point her out. If someone makes you feel uncomfortable, or demands anything from you, let me know. We aren't some old-fashioned group, she'll probably just ask to shake your hand, or maybe not. Do not lie to them, they won't ask you anything too personal.
Zant is there waiting with a few more who were there to see what is going on for the night. They sometimes have scheduled hangouts, but every other night or so, they just get together to see what is going on for the night. This introduction wasn't exactly scheduled, but a few people are around. A few general things are asked about around the usual time when many who would be there for the night showed up. A statement goes out asking if anyone needs assistance with major issues, or if anyone needs any help with anything else within the city. There is no new business in that regard. Then there is the call to meet anyone new within the city. Zook raises from his chair along the perimeter as usual, and takes her hand to help Patricia stand. This unknown woman, to the rest of them, is wearing a light pink button blouse, black dress pants, and low-heeled shoes. Her hair is up in a bun, and her makeup is very light. A smile brightens Zant's face. The outfit looks a lot like something she might wear, if she didn't have her own fashion brand, and damn near unlimited resources. She is wearing a pantsuit as well, but she has an over jacket, and is missing that single arm. Zook states.
Hello Zant, this is Patricia. I brought her into our organization in necessity.
Zant's smile on her face shows the empathy deserved.
Oh, my dear, I heard about what happened to you. I'm so sorry. We will get a hold of the piece of shit that did that to you.
She pauses for a few seconds for a dramatic pause, taking a short look around the room, then continues.
You formed her into one of us, Zook. It has been a while. That must have been a difficult decision for you.
He replies quickly.
No ma'am, it wasn't. I had only a few seconds to choose, and it wasn't much of a decision. It is the right thing for me to do. I'm glad I did as well.
She looks up at him curiously. His face remains stoic looking at the boss, but after a few seconds he steals a quick glance back at Patricia, and a smile grows on his lips. Zant stands.
What is your name, my dear?
Patricia answers with the conviction she can muster, being the center of all of this attention.
Patricia Moorhead, ma'am.
Zant continues without a snicker.
Well, of course, you are welcome here, and I know you'll follow the rules with this maker of yours. He's a smart one. You let me know, if you, literally, need anything.
She noticeably winks at the newcomer, and stands to walk over to her. Zant sticks out her hand, and Patricia grabs it firmly and shakes it. They both sit back down at a table at the perimeter of the gathering. Zant has another thing to add to all of those who have gathered.
Some of you have realized we do not have as many of my security in the building, and that is for a reason. A couple of them have quit, and likely not coincidentally. Tina has gone missing. She is on a trip to find out how I can get another arm attached, and her flight is not where it should have landed, and she has not called back. If she ran out on me, it is too much of an elaborate escape, so I'm currently assuming she is taken by someone. Zook, are you on a job?
He shakes his head, and she continues.
I want you on this. It isn't in the city. She flew out. You were there. Find my guards that quit and see if they know anything. Paul, you are going. Clear your schedule ASAP. I will double both of your usual fees. Get on this now. Use my cars, my jet, I don't care. I have my people on it. I know the last addresses of the guards that quit, and their places are cleaned out. An obviously bad sign. Call me for any resources you need, for any strings we have to pull.
Zook starts with an idea.
Get most, if not all of your security staff, in for a briefing tomorrow night. We'll start with all of them, then we'll get to their place, and make sure no one else gets in. Tell Paul and me where, and we'll meet there tomorrow night.
Both Paul and Zant nod. That night after the introduction, it is the first night Pat has seen the traps in the car. They both sit in the back of the car to talk, without the possibility of Bud hearing them, and Pat hears, then sees a couple of metal teeth jump up from the seats in front of them. She is partially startled but composes herself in a snap. She asks,
So, why is this set? Invisibility?
Zook looks over at her with a smile, then quizzically.
Nice guess, it sort of is, yes. Some of our kind, but not from our blood family, have an ability, sort of like invisibility. That will prevent them from getting in the car if they know of the traps. If they don't, it would tingle a bunch, but wouldn't kill any of us and break any ability to hide. Other supernatural creatures can do the same. Oh, Bud, don't forget the other two.
After he calls up front, a lever is rotated, and a few ball bearings are released into the middle of the back row, and roll along the floor. Zook lets her know.
I like to take extra precautions when it comes to our meetings. Our place is usually pretty well guarded by Steve and Bud. When we go to meet others of our kind, some of them might either hide as a prank, or worse, find out where I live, and keep it in mind. Using these will prevent them from sneaking in, and staying in my car to jump out at me.
What about if someone holds on under, or on the roof?
He smiles again. This nerdy and questioning vibe is doing it for him. He answers.
The roof is too light to hold someone up there without making some noise. A friend has checked it, and the under area, let's just say the speed bumps in the complex would make things highly irritating for someone trying to hang on under the car. Keep going, I think of these different things often.
She looks out the window, to stop staring at her creator, the one who introduced her into this supernatural world. They talk a bit more, and when they are almost back to their borrowed abode, she says.
Well, I need to catch up with work, and don't have much time till sunrise. They got my laptop while you were playing bad cop, bad cop.
He also brings up.
I have some stuff to do, in order to get things together if we might be getting around a bit, so do what you need to do. Have you been able to check to see if they will care, if you work almost all remotely?
Not yet, it isn't something so easily brought up, after supposedly just asking off for a bit, but I will get to it soon.
Did you perhaps want to come with me on this investigation? This happened before we met, so it probably doesn't have anything to do with you, but otherwise, I can leave Steve at the place with you, till I can find this lost woman. You can get some more work done.
I would rather stick around. I have not been able to get some stuff done, and don't want to lose the job. I will be fine, just get me a burner phone just in case. I lost mine.
Hey guys, do we have any more burner phones?
Bud answers.
No boss, we can go get a few tonight, a couple of places are still open.
This is done before they make it back to the cookie-cutter temporary home. Zook takes one of the burner phones, and adds his, Zant's, Bud's, Steve's, and a few other numbers he knows, into the phone, and gives it to his lady friend. He set the number into his phone as well, with first initials of their name. After packing and getting some work done, they go down into their little world earlier than usual that night. The proverbial ice has been broken, and they want a bit more time to get to know each other a bit better before the road trip. They have seen each other without clothes, and neither is disappointed. She takes the hairpin out of her hair, and shakes her head to let it down. He takes off his jacket, and hangs it up. She pulls off her pants jacket, to hang up, unbuttons her shirt, and he does the same. She pulls her arms through the sleeves, and shakes that off her body, letting it drop to the floor. He unbuttons her pants, and lets them loosen a bit to hit the floor. She unbuttons his pants too, but she pushes him back to sit on the bed before he could slide them down past his waist. He has a slightly surprised look, as she pulls her pants outward, allowing them to drop to the floor. She steps out of them, stepping closer to him on the bed. He sits up a bit to slide his pants down, but she puts a leg on either side of him on the bed and saddles around his waist, her new silk bra brushing lightly against his chest. She kisses him lightly, with not too much eagerness already, brushing her chest and waist against his, giving him the treat of a light moan as she moves her warmer body against his. He lightly pushes up her bra just a little, side by side. She moans lightly again and leans her head back a little away. He lightly kisses the inside of both of her breasts. She inhales sharply at the touch of his lips against her sensitive skin. This is just something she is used to. For now, he knows she would grow out of it only too soon. It also shows she is certainly interested in moving a bit further. He kisses the middle of her chest as well, once then again, slowly moving up to her mouth and kissing it with a little more to it. His cool body, again, is different but helps her not overheat, as they continue to get into their nightly groove. It is not the case that all of his body is still cold. It might have taken the use of a little stolen blood, but she didn't have to know the details. Her body feels like a warm shower, after a swim in a shivering cool lake, and his inhuman skin feels like a refreshing shower after a warm and humid hike. It might be in their own head, but steam seems to radiate from the mix of their bodies. After another couple of minutes of messing around, she stands up from him, and his pants are plenty loose from her stirring around on top of him. He has to sit up, and hop his butt off of the bed to let her pull them off, and she is eager to help. Once that barrier is fully off, they both laid down on the bed crossing their waists against the other, just feeling their skin against the other. The only clothing between them is the silk bra Patricia has bought tonight. She likes it against her skin, and the way it feels when he moves it against her chest, too.
Bite me, take only a little bit. It is something you'll need to get.
He stops there as she doesn't hesitate at all, comparing this to the first time. She bites into his vulnerable neck, and takes a few pints of his blood. Tonight to her it tasted like a dessert wine, red of course, with a slight taste of chocolate. Or, to put it another way, spiked cold chocolate. His blood isn't warm, it takes an Amazonian's effort to pull away and stop the bleeding, but she pulls away. Caressing her back, he bites back, taking those pints back, slowly extending his teeth into her neck, and letting the blood rush into his mouth, but not letting it get too far. The euphoria wears off from both of them after a minute. The kiss from their vampiric teeth that is practically paralyzing, takes a few minutes longer to wear off. She groggily gets off of the small pull-down bed, and he gets into a better lying-down position. She gets on top of him, and they finish the fun. This is a little out of the ordinary though, including the next bit desired by both. Patricia takes one of his arms, and raises it to her mouth whispering,
"Can we?"
He nods, taking her wrist, too. As her body ground on top of his, they slowly bite into the other's wrist, feeling the blissful fun of the body they were with, along with the euphoric taste of the other's blood. Both of these were real things their bodies truly needed. Their natural and unnatural satisfaction isn't something either has fulfilled before at once. It is something that dug deep into their minds and bodies, grabbing what their bodies have been craving and satisfying their pangs of hunger. After what feels like too long, Zook pulls his teeth back from Patricia's wrist, and closes up the marks. She does the same thing soon after, no longer wanting his blood, but neither is done with the other's body. Another few minutes and they are both so finished, they barely know what to do, other than lay back down next to each other. She curiously asks more about things she observed during the vampiric gathering, and he answers what he can, both of them having a hard time speaking, or even thinking. It feels like she wants to fill the silence of the room with something. That day, they sleep soundly, wrapped around each other. Zook can tell that his lady friend's body is getting cooler than normal. The next night, they both wake, Zook gets dressed, and checks his phone. He gets a text from Paul to let him know where they are meeting. He pokes his head out of their hidey hole, makes sure things are okay with Steve, Bite, and Fluffers, and tells Bud they are off. Bud gets up quickly, and walks out the door. He gets another text from Paul. We are seeing a dozen guards at Zant's place. The two who are missing are named Smythe and Weston. They have a place we can check soon, roommates, but after we talk to the rest of them. The location is another one of Zant's homes. Once getting there, he could see into another room where the security force is lined up, standing at attention. One of Zant's staff is outside of the room with a clipboard. She asks,
Sir, what is your name? Are you expected?
Name is Zook. I am.
Very good, sir. They are waiting for you. There is just one more.
Paul is waiting in a chair just inside the door. Once Zook enters, he stands and calls into the larger room.
We won't wait any more for the last.
And paces once down a line of security guards, without saying a word, going down the line, looking everyone over. This is even a strange scene to Zook. He walks behind Paul, trying to mock him with the same view, getting a smirk from a couple of them. Neither of them is merely looking, both were searching for auras of the team. Other than the short burst of humor as Zook looks, most of their auras are filled with nervousness and fear, emotions the vampires could mystically pick up using the power of their blood. As they both finish the initial check, Zook feels something strange, a mystical knock on his head. He ignores it. Paul pulls him back, and closer next to him to whisper in his ear. Paul whispers,
Hey, can I use telepathy so we can communicate easier?
Zook shakes his head. Paul tries to convince him.
Come on, man, we can maybe find out more, if...
A sting forms under Paul's chin, as Zook swings up with an elbow, in a bit of a sucker punch. Paul's head darts up, his rose-colored sunglasses fly off of his face. Zook takes a chance at this to make a point. He also spends a bit of blood to try to make this point quickly. Paul is one of the fastest, and most combat-driven, vampires in the city. The security force all stand rock still. Zook says openly and out loud.
You have your answer.
Paul's fangs extend in anger, and he growls looking back at him. Zook continues.
You know, big guy, I wouldn't usually have done that, I'm sorry, but you also know I keep to myself. We do this the old-fashioned way.
The growling from Paul slows as Paul closes his mouth to bring himself, and his vampiric beast, into control. Paul wouldn't let it go though.
All right, okay, but you know I'm going to get you back for that.
Zook nods, realizing maybe that wasn't a bright idea. Paul calls to the rest of the room.
Separate interviews, the side offices, 2 at a time, no one leaves.
The woman at the entrance with the clipboard walks in shyly. Paul and Zook walk over to her.
Sorry, sir, the last still has not come in yet. His name is Moffsburg.
They both nod. Zook tells her to let them know if he shows up. She nods back, and walks back out to wait.